Hello and welcome to the Logcast. I am your ever faithful host, David Jones, and today I am joined by a very sleepy Jeff.
Hey.
Fresh off the graveyard shift. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm barely conscious, but I am here.
Mm-hmm. So he's probably even more loyal than me because he just got off a graveyard shift.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if I would have done that, if I would be on right now if I had just done that. So thank you so much for because especially because Kevin Clay can't make it today. So if it wasn't for Jeff, this probably wouldn't be happening right now. So give him a round of applause.
Woo!
Woo! So despite working and being sleep deprived, did you play any fun games this week, Jeff?
I did. Nothing too surprising here. Maybe one thing that's out of the ordinary, but with good reason. So, Rocket League, goes without saying. Every week we say that. But Trials Fusion, one of the new games with gold on Xbox Live.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody that hasn't played it or heard of it, it's you're on a dirt bike. It's kind of like a weird Excite bike meets those old internet flash games. Just very physics based, going over jumps and trying to get a certain distance or beat a certain time to get to the end of a course that's got a lot of jumps and bumps and stuff. It's really cool. So far, I dig it. I actually got to a point yesterday, where I am not good enough to progress past. It's hard to explain really quickly, but it's like the 4th or 5th world of the game, and then there's I think 8 levels per world. So anyway, I'm stuck at that point, so I need to get better.
Aw. Get good, Jeff. God.
But have you, I know we talked about this yesterday, have you downloaded and played it yet, or are you still going to just
I put it on the tail end of my list because I did download it, but I only fired it up for like 10 minutes last night.
Fair enough. I'll let you give your take on it when you get to your games, unless you want to do that now.
I don't know. It's similar to what you said. I don't have a very strong opinion on it either way, really.
It has a little bit of a learning curve. The physics are not super forgiving, which is good, I think, because they're pretty realistic. As in an arcadey way, that's very contradictive. But I don't know. They're very sensitive physics, and they leaning forward and leaning backward on the bike affects your momentum, affects how you land, all that stuff, which is pretty cool. I enjoy it. It took me a little bit to get the hang of it, but I can do stunts now, and it's pretty fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then last game I played this week is Ukulele. With the new patch, I decided to start a new file. I did finally 100% my original file, so happy to report on that. And embarrassed to report that I don't think I had the casino glitch. I literally was just missing one token, or it miscounted the token and I had to go collect it again. I really don't know. It was in one of those tubes right above where you transform.
Oh, okay.
There's like floating roulette tables. There's literally just one token floating up there, and that was one of them. And then the other one was the Rextro, the second playthrough, which I completely forgot that I hadn't done. I don't know why in my mind I thought I did. So mostly I think I'm just an idiot, and I may have been able to 100% the game prior to the patch. But either way, the new controls, cameras, different fixes that we've talked about, and we will go more in-depth on our final thoughts. I'm a fan. I'm really pleased with what they've done with the game.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, I think last week, that the frame rate issue with like the fire effects totally fixed. So
yeah, I was kind of surprised about that one, because that was only on like the Xbox version. So a lot of people assumed it was a hardware issue, but apparently they've optimized it enough that stuff like that's not even an issue.
You got to think, I mean, hopefully Playtonic themselves were able to go in and do some of the touch-up work. I know they say they're completely dedicated to the Switch, but you can't. There's just certain things like they can't all be working on the Switch, and most of the coding is done. Like if you're porting to the Switch, like you're optimizing for that, but like why not go in and help Team 17 with porting to?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it too, like I'm sure they're having to do like a lot of optimization for the Switch version. I wouldn't be size.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of those
hardware.
Yeah, a lot of those fixes and can probably be backported to the other ports,
right?
Without reducing
the
anything.
thought process of the calculate exactly.
Yeah. Yep. So maybe that's some of it too.
It's a win-win for everybody. Mm-hmm. Yep. I would imagine it was kind of a combination of both of them working on the Switch version, Team 17 hopefully still working on the other console versions, and yeah, it's like I said, really really good update. So yeah, that's it for me this week. What else? What all have you been playing? I can imagine there's a little blue ball in your
Yeah.
discussion.
So Sonic Mania came out.
Yes.
And I've pretty much been playing that as almost my only game. Except
Nice,
for
dude.
last night, I finally branched out. But yeah, it's been all Sonic Mania, and it's really good.
It looks awesome. I wish I could get it right now. I probably would pick it up down the road.
Yeah, I would say honestly, even if you haven't gotten into the old Sonic games, it's still really good. Like, yeah, you might not get a lot of there's a whole bunch of like little references and things that are there just for like the really super fans.
Fan service, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of fan service in like the backgrounds of the levels. There's
That's
a couple,
great. I love that.
Yeah, so there's it's just clearly made by fans for fans, and
Yeah.
it's yeah, probably the best Sonic game in like the last 20 years.
That's what everybody's saying.
Yeah,
even,
yeah.
Even the Sonic the Hedgehog Twitter was like, yeah, this is our highest rated Sonic game in, I think they said, in 10 or 15 years
Right.
on Metacritic. So
So it's good stuff. It's a little bit hard in places. Like I haven't beat it yet, because it's kind of a retro game. They aren't forgiving with the save points. It's pretty much exactly the same way Sonic 3 and
Interesting.
Knuckles was. So to beat the last boss, I have to beat all the levels to the two, because there's a boss at the end of each zone. So I have to complete the zone and then face the boss without getting a game over. If I run out of lives, then I have to go all the way back to the start of the zone. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I don't have a huge history. I don't have any history with Sonic except the Mega Collection on GameCube I picked up because I was curious. Never really got into it. I've always enjoyed just running through the first stage or two. But I would like to go back and play through. I was talking with you guys this week. I want to go back and play through the original trilogy and then hopefully get Sonic Mania soon. I did see one person online kind of talking about it in the same light that I've always felt with the original 3, and just that I have a hard time getting into it because it's like they want you to go fast and there's lines for that, but then they want you to explore and look for secrets and nooks and crannies, and it's kind of hard for me to wrap my brain around because it's very different from Mario, which is what I grew up on.
Yeah.
So I just need to retrain my brain for
Yeah,
it.
it's a bit different, and
different.
it's going to be different too for people who are used to modern Sonic, because they definitely started to change the design to almost only be focused on speed and momentum, and they kind of been moving away from different level paths and things like that. And that's what this would really like brings back is the classic design, which
that's true. The 3D ones are pretty much linear, aren't they?
Yeah, fairly linear. I mean, sometimes
not 100%, but
there's a little bit, but it's like you can play through a level in like Sonic 3 or Sonic Mania, and sometimes it'll feel like
completely different.
Yeah, I think especially in Mania,
noticed.
I think they've even gone more than that, because there's times when it's like, there's high, like if you look at, I don't know if they have it for Mania yet, but if you look up like level maps, you can kind of see.
I've watched several long plays of it already.
Yeah,
I really like the music, and I just am curious about it. So I've actually watched a few, and I've seen just completely different ways of approaching it. I've watched a few speedruns too, which is also fascinating.
Yeah.
And it's only going to get better, I think. But yeah, it's interesting. One more Sonic tangent while we're doing the Sonic cast. I'm very curious how Sonic Team feels right now, because you almost feel like this is a slap in their face, because they haven't made a very highly rated Sonic game in a while. Like, I don't know. It's like we had to bring in outside for it. It's not even a different Sega team, which would still, be frustrating. Bringing it back to Rare, that would be like Barn, the Banjo Barn taking the Conquer property and making a higher rated Conquer game like that. Just probably back in the day, not like right now, but like back in the day, that would have probably been a slap in the face. And I can just imagine Sonic teams might be a little down on themselves right now. So what are your thoughts on that? Or have you read anything about that?
I don't know. I mean, I know that I believe there is some supervision of Sonic Mania, so they at least have to approve.
Right. I'm sure they had.
I'm not even sure how many of the original. I don't know how many, because the way a Japanese studio works, they don't really talk as much about individual employees. No. So I don't really know how many people are even there. But Sonic 4 was kind of their attempt to sort of recreate it, and they didn't really do it.
The point I was meaning was like not even the 2D ones, like the most recent 2D attempts, but like whatever the most recent Sonic game was. They come out every freaking 6 months. It feels like, and I know not all of them are handled by Sonic Team because it's like, I know there was 2 a couple years ago where one was Sonic Team and one was another team, right? Is that right or no? You and Kev would know way more.
Yeah, well, Kev knows even more than me. I know a lot of the handheld versions were done by like Dimps and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then there's like, I know there was an American team for a while as well. I'm not sure if that still exists anymore. I'll have to. Kev knows even more than me about Sonic, because I kind of faded away from it in recent years because I didn't like most of the new games, but he's been really into it the whole time. Right. But yeah.
Okay, well, that's a discussion for another podcast that we don't do. But I don't know. I was thinking about that. I was like, God, that must suck, like being Sonic Team and not having a hit Sonic, and then these 3 passionate but ultimately just fans, fan studios or whatever, ultimately make like one of the best rated games in years. I mean, even just regardless of being a Sonic game, like I think it has like a 93 right now on Metacritic, somewhere up in the near the 90s.
Like that. Yeah,
and that's really good for especially a modern 2D game. So anyway,
I mean, hopefully they were aware enough just to realize that I think the reason they were brought in is they realized that like we're not as good as recreating the old stuff as the fans are at this point.
Right, and that's a huge.
They've already done all the work.
Yeah,
making these fan games for years. They know how the physics works.
Optimizing the engine. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's true, and it's must be humbling, but cool that they could be a part of it and that they were open to. Yeah.
So good on them. I'm hoping. Yeah. Okay, I'm done. I was gonna say we're hoping we see more going in that direction. Good job.
Totally,
everyone.
it's selling really well. I think we'll see a sequel-ish in the same vein.
So
with more.
I already talked about Trials Fusion, so I won't talk about that again. The other game I played was Supreme Commander 2, which was a Games with Gold, like I'm not sure, quite a bit ago.
A while ago, yeah, I remember getting that.
Yeah. So I was having a lot of fun with that last night. I sort of didn't get into it at first because it's an RTS played with a controller, and it was hard for me to wrap my head around it. I'm used to playing that type of stuff on PC, but gotcha. I started to get into it last night, and I played it a little bit, stayed up a little bit too late. Playing it, and it's if you like RTS games, I think does a surprisingly decent job of making it playable on the console.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check that out because like I love RTS games, and I just kind of panned over this one because I didn't know what it was. So cool.
Have you ever played Total Annihilation for PC?
No.
That was one of my favorite RTS games, and this is Supreme Commander started as the spiritual successor to that because he lost the rights to it because the company that made it went bankrupt, but it's by the same creator. So he made cool. Supreme Commander, then Supreme Commander 2. Supreme Commander 1 was PC only, and they tried to do an Xbox 360 port of the second one. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Honestly, like I say, I love RTSs, but really, the only ones I've ever played is the Command and Conquer series. So those are my bread and butter.
There you go.
Yep.
All right, and that's it. So I think before we start going off on more tangents, we should probably move on to the news. All right, the news. Anywho, a few items here. I think this is mostly all Sea of Thieves stuff, except for a couple things. There was a Sea of Thieves video about PC gaming. It talks about some of the aspects of the version that are kind of exclusive to this platform. I talk about, frame rate versus resolution, about how the preferences of that, even amongst their own staff, varied. And, that's always one of the biggest gaming. It's like the Pepsi versus Coke of gaming community. Right. Everyone thinks is more important. I've always been torn on it. I don't know.
It's a tough trade-off. Yeah.
I think personally, there's a minimum frame or resolution you should hit, and then you do highest frame rate you can get. Like, say if you have to lower your game to 720p to get 60 frames, I would rather have it be 930.
Interesting. I'm
But
a
at the
60
same time,
FPS or higher person. Like I love the fluidity.
I do too, but I don't think I think there's a like I'd rather have something be below 1080p and be 60 frames, but not to a certain extent.
Yeah,
Like
see,
if you
I'll
had
play
to
a
like
game
bring
at
it down
I'll
to
play a game at
900.
480 if I have to, if it'll get me 60 frames.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah.
So I'm torn. I get I get both things. I think they're both important, and I dream of the day when everything's 1080p, 60 frames per second.
That'll be the day.
Which will probably, yeah, maybe with the One X. I mean, for everyone who's not pushing 4K, I don't see why it can't do it.
We say that, but it's like the developers choose to then just put that many more lighting and other effects in, and then
it's like, all right, anyway. 10,000 more shaders.
And things
Let's do
it's
this.
like each time it's less noticeable, even though it's like if you show it side by side, you'd be like, oh yeah, there's tons of effects there. But if you just are casually looking at it, you're like, this looks the same. Why can't they get it up to 60 frames? And that's why.
Yeah, so I'm of the opinion that for that marginal improvement, just improve the frame rate first and then add the effects.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed.
Like, most games can push 60 if you just take off a few effects. And that's another thing. I would rather have a crisp resolution and improved main rate than having, 10,000 shaders.
Totally. And I agree with that as well. I think like very often they go overboard with shaders right now. And
Yeah.
I think it's almost like a puberty in the cycle of consoles where we are with the HD era, whereas like the 360 PS3 was the infancy of HD. Those were the first HD systems. These are the pubescent ones, and I think the next starting with the X, but ultimately the next generation or next iteration, I think will be the mature version of that, where we see the expertise, kind of like the 16-bit era was kind of the third generation of 2D systems. I mean, I'm sure there may have been four, but if you go like Atari to NES to
I mean, if you count
Genesis,
Gen 1,
Super,
it would be like the
right,
fourth,
exactly. But ultimately, if you break it down more simplistically and combine the earliest, like the square Ataris, then the 8-bits, and then the 16-bits. Like the 16-bits was just this perfect generation, in my opinion, of 2D gaming.
Right.
So I think just comparing console cycles, I think the next generation of 3D systems, even though N64 and then whatever, but calling it the HD era, I think would be a good way to separate it. I don't know. I think we're gonna see some good stuff. Yeah,
I guess it depends on what you want to call it, because you could argue that the next era is gonna be, it's not the HD era, it's the Ultra HD 4K HDR era or whatever.
Yeah, you're right. I meant HD just in the general sense, where that includes 4K. It's just higher definition rather than the 720 1080. Because you think about it, like it's weird to call 720 and 1080 HD because it's two completely very different resolutions, whereas 4K is its own separate thing, whereas all three are higher def than 480, so like it just kind of it's granular and where you draw the line, and why is 4K just a single resolution, whereas the previous generation was two resolutions and the previous one was like 480p 480i and then even some 240s on the 16-bit era. So it's like it's a disaster. And it always has been. I
always start with the NES as Gen 1, even though I know it's not.
I do too,
just because I feel like it makes more sense, because then you almost have like you have the sort of birth of 2D modern gaming, the perfection of it. Then we go to the birth of 3D gaming, though I think you could argue that the gen after N64 wasn't really the perfection of 3D, but
it was like the teenager stage, like the PS2 and the GameCube and the Xbox, like there was some great games and they were awesome at the time, and you look at them now and it's like, ooh, those are some ugly polygons or whatever, bad shaders. They look like crap now, but like at the time they were great experiences.
I do think it's the first 3D generation that can hold up well, with the exception of like some of the rare N64 games, but most N64 era games you can't just up-res them. And
they're not.
They still look
different.
Terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas you could up-res a PS2 GameCube game, and it'd be acceptable. You'd want to throw in some extra lighting shaders and things like that, but in general, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I'm rambling, but yes.
And then we had the birth of the HD, and then, Like I feel like the first HD era PS3 360, that's to me barely qualifies as HD.
Right. It's a
Most
weird
of the games that got
qualification.
really complicated were running below 720p and then just
Right.
upscaled. So
Exactly.
yeah.
It was a weird generation. I think it was a great generation. I loved how long it lasted. But yeah, it definitely was an experimental time for everybody, studios and gamers and all that.
Now we're at the point where everything is finally at least HD, and I think with the One X and the Pro, then we're finally going to have anything be at least 1080 and up.
Right, exactly.
So it's like, even though it's like starting the 4K generation, or whatever you want to call it, it's really at the same time, it's really actually finally fulfilling the promise of pure HD gaming.
Right, and it's almost like the PS4 and the original PS4 and the original Xbox One were almost like, what would you call it? Like filling the gap in technology, where it's like they really needed 10 to 12 years for the generation jump, which is a really long time. But like I feel like both the PS4 and the Xbox One were not what they could have been, and it's not,
I agree.
It's just, neither one really delivered.
They went
the generation jump.
I think they went for like keeping the prices comparable rather than raw power.
Right, which they had to because
went
of the
through cheap
technology.
off-the-shelf PC parts and tablet parts and things like that.
Yeah, it was a weird generation jump because it didn't feel. It felt like the timing, like it needed to happen because it had been
it was
so long.
so late. Like it was such a leap over what was before, obviously.
Right.
But if you compare what it was to what PC was doing, like the gap between PS4 and Xbox One and PC was way bigger than it had been in the past.
Right.
Like when the 360 came out, that was fairly well. Obviously, it wasn't as good as what was going on in PC, but it was It was
For
very
consoles,
comparable
it was
experience.
Mind-boggling. Yeah, it was a huge jump.
Yeah.
Like the PS2
they
over the PS1.
went all out on it. They did anything that they could, and I feel like they're finally going back to that now with the One X. Like we're gonna do almost anything we could. There's still, I know there's some talk that maybe the CPU isn't as good as it can be.
Yeah, but I feel like they've accommodated with the right calculations elsewhere to keep the bottlenecks to a minimum, which has been great to kind of see the behind the scenes stuff that they've talked about, working very closely with their development team, specifically. Is it Turn 10? Is that the?
That does Forza 7.
Yeah, like they seem to be their kind of like crown jewel right now.
Yep.
Rightfully so, and yeah, it's pretty cool. I feel like we've gone a bit on a tangent. I know Clay would complain about all this nerd talk, so let's keep going through that little. There's a couple other things from that PC news.
I totally even forgot where I stopped in the number one.
Talking about keyboard configurations.
Okay, keyboard configuration. They also talked about some keyboard configurations. And the keyboard can't talk. Keyboard remapping is on the roadmap. Some community feedback led them to put a custom arrow key playstyle configuration in the latest alpha session. Yeah. So cool.
Which is really cool that they could react like that, and that even though it's not a permanent thing, it kind of allows more people to experience it. I know they cited community member Liza LaRue. She's the one who made the lantern that I won from the Sea of Thieves forum contest. But I'm pretty sure she's one of the ones that came over from Pirates of the Caribbean Online, and I guess that one either wasn't keyboard and arrow like rather than the WASD. It was kind of, I don't know if that was just her personal preference, but I think a few people from that game kind of voiced that opinion that that's how they play and that's what they wanted to play. And Rare straight up just made a custom keyboard mapping just for this alpha session so they could get in on it, and yeah, that was pretty sweet.
That's pretty cool.
Also, push to talk for voice chat is I left that out of my type up here, but push to talk is another hugely requested feature that they didn't have as prioritized, and they're now moving up to top priority. So very, very cool. They're sticking to their word of reacting to fan feedback, community feedback.
Awesome. Good job, guys.
So with that, I'll jump into the second news article, which is that Rare basically announcing for Gamescom week, which is next week and is our main topic. They are going to invite 20,000 more players into the technical alpha and run both a Xbox and PC technical alpha session to coincide with the Gamescom. I think it's safe to assume, if it hasn't been confirmed, that they're going to let players on the show floor interact with players at home, just like they did during E3. They'll stream on Mixer and all that great stuff. So looking forward to that. And if you are in the technical alpha and looking still for your invite, keep an eye on your email. Hopefully you'll get in. I know a few of them did go out. I saw people on Twitter posting about it. So hopefully more will go out if they all haven't all. But otherwise, look forward to seeing some new contestants to battle out on the Sea of Thieves.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Kill all the noobs.
That's right.
Prey on them, corner them, and then sink their ship and take their treasure. Alright, so Rare has also finished their ongoing intern feature on their website with the remaining three of this year's interns. It's a good read if you're curious about the life of the studio, and if you want to know what to expect from the next batch. Check it out over at rare.co.uk.
Yeah. Did you read through those? There's one, I think. Last week
I
or
read
week
the
before.
first one. I haven't read this newest one yet.
Okay,
but
yeah. They're
like
really
the
cool
first
to
one,
kind of
so
see
I'm
the
sure
insight.
the second one's good.
Yeah. Did you read the initial ones like last year when the new interns were new, like when they came on? Because they had
Sounds
interviews
familiar,
like
I
their
can't
first
remember.
week. I'm trying to think of when it was. It's got to be around this time, maybe a month from now. But it was fascinating to kind of see what they were looking forward to doing in their first week at Rare, and then reading their kind of outgoing exit interview, if you will, on the website. Cool read, great read if you're interested in studio life at Rare or just curious about what it's like to be in the games industry. Yep. Okay. And our next news article, breaking away from Rare, but staying within the Rare and Friends coverage, and friend of the show, Nick Macon from Macon Games, was talking a little bit on Twitter this week about how close he is to finishing Raging Justice. He kind of implied that it might actually be done, but he's having a hard time admitting it or kind of coming to grips with that. And it's an interesting conundrum, I guess, if you're an indie dev or like a lone dev like him, where he had someone do the art and assets early on, and he had someone doing the music and some other stuff, but it's mostly been his baby as kind of the creative director and programmer and everything. And it's like I've talked about on the show before, it's been fascinating following along as he streamed live coding sessions and took player feedback and just was very open and transparent with the creation of this game. Long roundabout way of coming and saying, like, it's got to be hard when you are putting this much time and effort into something, deciding when it's done. You know, like any great artist or any person working on a creative work, like, how do you draw that line and say, okay, I've got to finish this, I got to put it out. You know, it's for him, I think it's a side project, so I don't think it's like his income is depending on it or anything like that. Like, he's got a day job, so he's not as desperate as like the indie devs, like the Cuphead. Jarhead's that war movie, right?
Yeah.
Cuphead devs would like remortgage their house, and like everything is riding on that game doing well for them to even continue to not declare bankruptcy. Whereas, Nick is stable, I guess is a nice way to say that. I don't know. It's an interesting little discussion on Twitter, so you can follow him at Nick Macon. It's NICMAKIN. At Twitter, or on Twitter, that's his handle. So follow him there, and then Macon Games, one word, MAKINGAMES. For news and updates about that, I gotta think that the release date announcement is coming soon, and that he's gotta be just about ready to submit it.
Yep, I'm real excited to finally get a hold of that, and I believe it's launching PC and Xbox same day, right? And then it's like,
I believe so.
Yeah,
it may just be
think so.
Xbox, but I think it's PC and Xbox.
Okay, yeah, I know at the very least Xbox is at top of the list.
His live dev sessions are running through an Xbox Dash, so yeah.
Yeah. So that's exciting. So.
Yep.
All right, final item on this list, and I'm not actually sure how to pronounce this guy's first name. Is it
I
Hugh?
think it's Hugh, but
Hugh?
I'm not sure.
It looks like it's Hugh with a W, which I didn't know was a thing. Hugh Ward, he's a very long-serving Rare employee for QA. He is selling a bunch of Ultimate Play the Game tapes on eBay, shrink-wrapped. And they are glorious, and if you have money, you probably want them.
Yeah.
I didn't look at what the current price is, but
I don't think he's posted them yet. He kind of just put a teaser that said coming this weekend.
Okay, yeah.
And it's Saturday morning as we're recording this, so it may be up now.
They're probably gonna go for a lot. Just throwing that out.
I hope so.
That they're worth a lot. If they don't, if they don't go for a lot, I'll be almost
right. And
I'll be sad in two ways. One, because I'm not getting them because I assume there's no way in heck I can afford them. So if they don't go for a lot, then I'll be like, oh, I could have had them. And at the same time, I'm like, but they're worth more too. They should have got more for them. So,
yeah.
All right.
I real quick, like I met him while I was at the studio, and the day that we were there, the first day I think, he was receiving his 25 years of service award. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So he's been there a while.
Oh, bravo to him.
Yes. Cool guy.
Anyway, he is available at Twitter on M3Jetman is his handle. So at M3Jetman.
Yes.
And he'll probably post links when they're up. So,
hopefully.
Yeah. Check that out. So now that we're about halfway through our show, it's time to move on to the main topic. So, today's topic is Gamescom 2017. Yay!
Das ist gut.
Yeah, so I feel like this is a lot bigger of a Gamescom than most Gamescons.
You think so? I feel like it's on par with last year.
Maybe I'm wrong. I just don't remember there being like Microsoft making a big deal internationally out of like the stream for it, like they are this year.
Oh, see, I guess I've only followed it since Rare Replay, so just the last 2 years
yeah, because they're supposedly doing like a mix pod again, so you watch it on Mixer, you get free games. I don't know, so maybe they're just doing that for all the conferences now, and they're just kind of ramping up. But
yeah, I think they're just trying to get Mixer more popular. Yeah,
like Gamescom is always, I felt like it's been one of those things that unless you're, really cared about the industry, you probably would miss it. And now we see like, it being all over the Twitter. I'm sure there'll be a link on the dashboard. So
right.
And they're coinciding international pre-orders for the One X with this live stream.
Yep.
So I think that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, and for anyone who doesn't know Gamescom, which hopefully you all do, but like just to kind of familiarize you, it's similar to E3. It's a big game convention. A lot of developers and publishers show games and stuff like you would at E3. The big catch used to be that this is the one that fans could go to, whereas obviously this year E3 opened up to fans for the first time in a while, if not ever. I think they'd maybe done a limited fan thing a few years ago, but it'll be interesting now that E3 is doing that, if Gamescom can kind of differentiate themselves and justify existing, especially like 2 months after E3. Because it used to be much more consumer-oriented than E3 was, and now E3 is kind of trying to match that.
I think it'll definitely has a justification for existing just by being not in the United States.
Possibly, yeah.
Because there's going to be tons of people who want to come out that have no ability to get to the United States. Who it's a lot easier to, I'm sure, take a train in Europe than it is to.
Yeah, that's true. Just to get it in the hands of the players, it makes sense. No, that's a good point.
So, I don't know if maybe eventually maybe there's won't be as big of reveals. I don't know, but I think it's far more likely that E3 is going to get fed up with consumers and go back to how it was.
I hope so. Yeah, it seemed like a nightmare for the people trying to actually do work this year.
And I feel like what's going to happen is like how EA is already kind of doing it is that they're just going to move their stuff off of E3 and do it separate.
Which, I mean, they've slowly been doing that over the years anyway.
Yeah, because I feel like the more consumer it gets, it's going to be less and less people participating in the actual E3 event and people just participating in that weekend with their own thing.
Yeah, which is fine for everyone except the E3 organization, because obviously they get money through selling booth space, I would guess. What I find interesting is like Gamescom, as far as I know, has been open to the public for a long time or whatever, for as long as it's been going. And I've never really heard anybody complain about that, whereas, I mean, a lot of people complained about players being at E3 this year, where it's like, is it just that Gamescom's more efficiently laid out, or in Cologne the convention center is better? Like, I keep hearing it was just like shoulder to shoulder, stinky, sweaty men and women.
Maybe there's just less attendees.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Because, United States is a huge country.
Well,
and if people are legitimately coming from all over the country to converge on LA, which maybe they were, because I imagine
I
I mean,
don't know
if
that
you
that
think
makes a
about
huge
it,
difference.
well, I think it might be too that this is the first that people could go to, and there's a lot of people like me who have dreamed about going for E3 all their lives. So I think it might have
Right.
just been a matter of, oh my gosh, it's finally open, and then everyone from around the country
But either way, E3,
converged.
whoever is in charge of attendance numbers, like they control how many media passes they give out, they control how many fan passes. So
Yeah.
it's like they could easily prevent the the overcrowding, but obviously at the expense of pissing people off or not having enough coverage or
Yeah,
whatever.
so maybe they was just poorly organized, and they,
I don't.
made too many passes available. They didn't even think that that many people would show up. Maybe they were naive
Yeah,
enough to
yeah, you
expect
always-
that, oh, it's
always
just going to
bank
be
on
LA
that.
area, be California, and maybe some Northwest,
Yeah.
know, and then a lot more people wanted to come than they thought were going to come, and they just didn't know
Right.
how to deal with it. So I don't know.
And then the U.S. also has PAX East and West, which are kind of like Gamescom, right? They're more showing off games. I feel like they're a little bit bigger than games. They're kind of like comics and other stuff too, right? Do you know?
Yeah,
much
it's
about
almost
PAX?
like Comic-Con meets E3 because there's like
Yeah.
panels and stuff like that.
Okay,
too, so
yeah.
it's,
So it's kind of a combination. Okay.
yeah.
Alrighty. Do you want to jump into just real quick subtopics of Gamescom as far as Sea of Thieves, Xbox, and possibly one other thing?
I don't. What are you getting at? I'm sorry.
Just
Like, tell
breaking
us
it
what
down
we're
because
gonna
like right now we're
what
just
we're gonna
rambling
talk
about game
Oh,
conventions
okay.
and
No,
talking
I thought
about.
for a second I thought you were just saying, are you going to read the list of topics? Then you just did, so I got confused.
Yeah, well, as like we can kind of discuss what we cover on the site and just in
Right.
general.
Okay.
So let's talk about Sea of Thieves and what we expect to see at Gamescom. We talked a little bit about it in the news.
Yeah. So, I think we're going to see a good deal. I'm hoping we see another major sort of.
That's
Build
that's
update.
my big hope. They've teased at awesome new features that they've been holding back from the latest technical alphas.
I don't know if it happened to you, but I had a 5 gig Sea of Thieves update last night.
Yeah, I mean those are actually weekly and expected. So
Oh.
I wouldn't. That's not
See,
super
most of them
exciting.
do it. I don't even see them happen. But
Right,
this one
exactly.
I happened to notice. So.
They're very consistently 5 gigs and happen weekly.
Okay,
Uh,
so never
so,
mind. Ignore me.
yeah,
I thought that
what I
I
can
thought
tell
that meant
you,
something, but it
Since
didn't.
if it was Friday night that it happened, that's definitely the Gamescom build. So you've got the bits on your hard drive.
Woohoo!
Short of a hot, what do they call it, a hot fix? But they haven't really done that at all. So
Right.
no reason to think that they will this week. What do you think? What like? Do you have any predictions on what they're going to put into the game that might be as exciting as what they put into the E3 build, which was like storms and firing out of a cannon?
I'm keeping my fingers crossed for the damn Kraken, but we'll see.
But considering at E3 they stated that they hadn't even begun work on it, which
Did
it's
they? I
rare.
forgot about that.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Jeremy said that in an interview. but
Fine, then maybe that gold skeleton dude, like
Could be a
some
red
kind
herring.
of boss.
AI, they do have a dedicated AI team at Rare, so that would be cool. Or yeah, even a different boss. I
I think there needs to be like
bosses, but there's got to be.
there needs to be something sort of a new major objective. I think for this
Yeah.
build. Show
Um,
something off that people haven't seen before.
latest Tales from the Tavern, Mike Chapman, the what is it, design director now? He did mention they're expanding on the riddle quests. So
Okay.
what we did see teased in the E3 trailer that was not in the E3 build was lifting up your lantern to activate the boar shrine. I don't know if you remember that specifically. That has not, as far as I know, been shown in any of the technical alphas, so maybe something along those lines. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, like you said, like the Skelly Lord, the gold. And then there was that other statue from E3 that they called Belle. It was a mermaid. That would be interesting to see if that is explained. I can't imagine why they would have had the statue commissioned. I assume that they thought they were going to get that into the E3 build and it didn't make it, so hopefully it'll make it into the Gamescom build. That's my hope. No idea what to make of that. I don't know what it is.
I
She's
think
on like
they could show off maybe one really like elaborate quest where you start with riddles,
yeah,
takes you to a crazy
a
location, and then
full
there's
arc.
a boss.
Yeah.
Like do something to show off what sort of give an example of what sort of the final what's the word I'm looking for? Sort of gameplay path you'd expect to take on like a quest in the
Yeah.
final build would be, even if it's just one, so that we can all try it out.
Right. I mean, in their defense, that's kind of what the current system is. But yeah, I think I know what you mean. Like, kind of fleshing that out and including a little more elements to it. It would be great to see maybe some NPCs who give you the quests show up, because they have hinted at that you'll get them from various characters in the world. Would love to see that.
I guess that's kind of what I mean about like a complete path.
Okay.
Like you go to a dockhand, you'll buy the map. So, but this won't be randomized. It'll just be one. So maybe other ones can be randomized. Buy the map, do the riddle. Go to maybe a new location specifically designed, for this quest just to show things off. And then we get we get treasure, we get a boss, and then sort of show what the height of the gameplay can be, even if it's not standard. Yeah, just show off exactly what the game is capable of.
Yeah. Or even maybe not a boss, but like a specific, like when you dig up this treasure chest, like 9 skellies will spawn in a circle around the chest, like something more, because right now they're just totally random. They just kind of pop up.
Yeah.
That would be cool. The other big thing that they said, I think they said is confirmed, but if not, they were trying to confirm, is another live event. During E3, they had a thing in the forums where they would put riddles in the forums, and then in the game you could actually go, and they're a lot more complex than the ones in the game. But you could go find a specific treasure, I guess. I didn't actually do them, but in game, and they said they were trying to make it a little more tricky this time. So I'm curious what that's going to be. Or I think that's really cool, and adding that live element in those one-off quests. Looking forward to that. I think Christina Parker, the live campaign producer, director, whatever her official title is, I think she's in charge of those, which looking forward to trying those out.
Yep.
Anything else with Sea of Thieves? Do you think we'll get a new trailer? I don't think they did one at last year's Gamescom.
I think there might be a chance this year just because it's, getting so close.
That's my thoughts too.
And yeah. I feel like what was shown at E3, it was almost more of a gameplay demonstration than a trailer.
It's true. Yep.
In some ways. So maybe kind of like something more similar to that first like kind of cinematic trailer that was shown at like the E3 a year ago.
Right.
Maybe just do a little collage, maybe some things that aren't necessarily, pure gameplay, just to get people hyped up. Maybe then start off with maybe a CGI ship battle and then go into some gameplay showing off different things. And maybe could be a good opportunity to show some stuff that isn't 100% ready yet that won't be in the build. Like, a boss.
Yeah. They're very keen on not showing anything unless it's game ready, but yeah, that would be a sweet one to drop in a trailer and then have it in the build, like in the game demonstration. Yeah. Other thing I'm hoping for is like new instruments for the shanties and new songs or the ability to select songs. That would be really cool.
Yes. And why not the spyglass?
And the spyglass they had long hinted at. That one is just such a technical challenge. And because of how
I get it, but
L.O.G
it's just one of those things that seems such a no-brainer. I get that it's probably hard to do.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, it has to do with keeping a low-res island in the distance, and then when you go into the spyglass, you have to instantly load the high-res version of it, and that's got to be hard because it used to be called mip mapping, which is just for textures, but was it L.O.D swapping? I don't remember what the official term is, but level of detail swapping for models.
I feel like you could maybe do some longer transitional animation, maybe to.
Yeah, if you can if you can force it to start wide and then your character quote unquote zooms by pulling out the lens or whatever, you could buy yourself a few precious seconds to load. But I gotta think that sounds like just a programming nightmare to load that in full detail, and then when you take down the spyglass to reload everything right around you, like that just sucks.
All right, here's a crazy idea for a transition.
Okay,
you pull it out. And then it turns out the thing is like fogged over, and so then the character rubs it off. So that gives
like dust from there.
Yeah, like there's something knapsack on, like dust or dirt. So when you pull up the spyglass, it's just like a blurred bit of colors, and then he wipes it off, and then you see it. And then
just have a seagull poop on it every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what could work is when you select it from your inventory, you then have it couple of seconds where you know you have to have the animation of it coming up to your eyes. So pretty much when it's loaded into your character's active inventory, like your current selection, and obviously your character is facing compass direction, so start preloading in that direction. Like, I don't know, just
listen to us. We're
like
smart.
A logistical nightmare. I don't. It's an essential tool, and like obviously they've said they're working on it. I just, from knowing as little as I do about programming, it just sounds like an impossible feat. So cannot wait to see it in action, and if anybody can do it, it's Rare. So full faith in that team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Anything else about Sea of Thieves you want to talk
No,
about?
I think we beat the dead horse a little bit, so we can talk a little bit more about what we expect for the 1X.
Yeah, this is definitely, what Microsoft is really hyping up about this is the pre-orders are supposed to go live. They've pretty much confirmed it. GameStop has confirmed they're going to have a special offer or something. So they said there's going to be a surprise.
Yeah.
I'm guessing the surprise probably leaked yesterday.
Was it the Project Scorpio edition?
This Project Scorpio edition. I expect that's it.
It's a nice fan service, and especially the people they're trying to appeal to with the 1X. I think that's perfect.
Am I the only one who liked the way it looked before better, though?
What's different? Like, to me, it looked pretty much the same. I didn't look at it in depth.
There's a new the top of the console is like a new pattern on it. It's hard to see for certain, but before it was shown off as like pure matte, just a big matte surface. Because obviously they don't have the fan anymore, so they don't need to vent it like they did on the 1S. So it was just going to be a kind of a monolith, and now there's some kind of texture on it now. And I don't know if that's just for the Xbox Scorpio edition, or if that's how it's actually been changed.
Okay.
And I think I kind of liked the monolithic version a little bit better. And the other thing that's different is the controller. They have replaced the colorful buttons with the gray buttons from the Elite controller.
Right. And that's just to make this kind of feel premium, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be all of them. I think it's just going to be the Scorpio edition.
I'd rather have the one. I don't like the gray
standard
buttons. If I given the choice, I'd probably pick the standard, but I imagine this is going to be like the day one edition.
Right.
Where
for me, it's not as big of a deal. I guess I don't care that much, and I don't ever look at my controller.
Right.
Like, I got a new controller at Walmart a few months back, and like the only one they had in stock was like army green with orange thumbsticks, which is kind of ugly. But honestly, I can't even tell you the last time I looked at it. So
yeah. Well, fair enough. I just think I've always loved the colored buttons, and they make me happy.
Yeah.
Even when you're not playing it, just to have it sitting on a shelf, I think it's more pleasing to look at that way. But that being said, I have two controllers, and I'm going to keep the one from my 1S, the white one. I'm going to trade in my old L.O.G black one when I trade it in. So
yeah,
I might just end up using my white one more if it really annoys me. So it's not that big of a deal, but it was like, for me, I looked at it and I was like, I think the old one looks better. Though, one thing I did like, the box. The box for the Xbox Scorpio edition looks like the top of the OG Xbox One, and that made me really happy.
Okay.
So
yeah,
thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
nice fan service there.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the surprise or not, or if there's more, if there's going to be more going on, because they've been hinting about something for a while, and I'm wondering too if maybe there's going to be. Like before, there was the day one of the 1S had 2 gigabytes and then it was gone. I'm wondering if they're going to do something like that too, where this first edition is going to have more space than the standard 1 gigabyte.
Oh,
which I would.
1 terabyte.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 1 terabyte.
I was like, gigabyte. God, you can't even get 2 games on that.
I hope that's true because I've already filled up my 2 terabytes.
Holy crap, dude! I've
got
a 2 terabyte in addition to the 500 gigs that came with the initial Xbox, and I still have 33% space
really
left.
Well, I have over 100 games just from all the free stuff.
I have 109 I think on mine.
Wonder what I'm full. Oh, well, you know what? There's a lot of games I've bought in season pass for, so I think that.
Okay, I was gonna say I don't have much DLC, and I honestly don't have many full games. A lot of them are kind of 360 titles and the games with gold, free stuff. So that might be a lot of it.
Yeah, and a couple of them, like the Halo games, are like almost like 100 gigs each.
Well, yeah, and that's true. I only have the Master Chief Collection, which is still a big collection, but yeah, I don't have all the other ones installed. So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, it'd be great if they offer some good size options. Hopefully, a 4 terabyte option would be great.
I'm still gonna keep my fingers crossed for like a rebate for people who bought the 1S last year.
Yeah,
I don't know if it'll happen.
Figure something out.
I mean, because they had that one thing, to get the free adapter for the Kinect, so I know that they can do stuff like that for serial numbers if you register them.
Totally.
I'm hoping like maybe you have a 1S registered, you have a 1X registered. Maybe we'll do something for you, even if it's just like giving me some Xbox Live credit or something like that.
That would be nice.
It would be nice.
Yeah.
Because
or even just getting
I'm going
a
to struggle to pay for this.
Yeah, if they do a partnership with like Western Digital or Seagate or one of them, like to give you, I don't know, 25% off of a certain drive, like an external drive, like that'd be cool too. But something like that.
Especially for those of us that are taking like a storage downgrade to upgrade, like me.
Right. Exactly.
So that would be nice. And but it's exciting stuff. And I know at the very least, GameStop is probably going to have a pretty good trade-in, as they always do.
Usually,
for these type of things. Usually do. And I'm hoping to having the 2 terabyte 1S. I imagine that I'm at the top of the list to get a good deal.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
Because there's still a market for that, and those are still going to be sold regular. And like someone like me would probably get that before the 1X. So, yeah, I think it would be good for GameStop and good for people like you.
I know I'm going to have to probably end up trading stuff in for this because it's.
Yeah.
I need the 4K, but I'm not. I'm a little bit broke at the moment, so I know I'm gonna look for ways to do it, and I know I can. I mean, I bought a PS4 when I made minimum wage. I just sold my plasma for like 6 months.
Right.
So I where there's a will, there's a way. So I'm hopefully gonna make it easy for me though. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Indeed. Alrighty, shall we conclude on our final brief topic?
Yeah. Our brief topic is Nintendo going to do anything that's relevant to us?
Exactly.
Which I hope so.
Yeah, I do too. My hope is, like, obviously Mario Odyssey literally comes out in 2 months. I'm hoping they'll show a little more of it, and hopefully we'll see something Donkey Kong, like modern Donkey Kong related. Like obviously there's a lot of Donkey Kong Country references in New Donk City, and I hope that's for a reason, and that we'll see something from that.
Yeah. At very least, Virtual Console already. Come on, guys.
That would also be sweet too. Yeah. This would be a good, like, without them doing Space World, which would have come around this time. I feel like Nintendo should do something at Gamescom. So
yeah,
we'll see.
The lack of Virtual Console is like the one thing that's really bumming me out about the Switch.
Yeah, it's a huge.
I love playing old Nintendo games, and I like playing them.
The thought of having one to go,
yeah, and just through an HDMI connection.
Great, yeah.
And Nintendo has the ability to, have a way to provide all these classic games and have them look the best that they can be without people going through ridiculous hoops and converter boxes and emulators. And
I'm wondering if they just struggled with converting the emulators from the old system architecture to the Switch, like. So obviously, it was a PowerPC processor on the last 3 systems.
But I mean, if you look at like the NES Classic and SNES Classic, I'm sure those are just running off of ARM chips. Chips, I'm pretty sure they are.
You would think so. I mean, obviously, like they've got to be.
So, to me, it just seems more of a matter of, for whatever reason, they think the time is not right because Nintendo.
God, they're such a mystery to me.
Yeah, they waited like how long to even show the Switch? It may just be
that they were. Here's my new theory that I just thought of right this second. They may have thought that Switch may not sell well in March because the 3DS didn't sell well in March, whenever that was, 2010. And maybe this was their ace in the hole to like save it for a holiday thing and launch it with a Mario game, and just basically have that March launch be their soft launch and their true launch be Christmas, and maybe that's what they'll do. honestly, I can't think of any other reason why they would do this.
They just want to put it. Or maybe because they have a pretty strong software lineup, so maybe they're going to wait when they have a lull and then like, here, here's all these games you
use
can
it
buy.
to fill a hole.
Yeah,
that's also a good point. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, they seem to just sort of operate. They never like just show you everything all at once and get people really, really hyped. Like,
yeah.
When you look at them retrospect, I'm always really happy with their output. But when in the moment, because how frustratingly they provide information,
exactly,
it's always just annoying. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's literally like done now and
they're
just waiting
sitting
on it.
Well, it's like Mario Odyssey. Apparently, that's the story with that.
And then they'll just put out like a tweet, like, "Oh, hey, Virtual Console coming tomorrow," and then that'll be it.
Right. Stay tuned for a new Nintendo Direct about exciting Virtual Console news, and then it'll be out the next. And
then literally next day it's out.
Yeah, I mean that's what they do now. Yeah, it's like why not launch the service with some of the less popular games, because people will buy those, like sort of like ARMS. I don't think anybody would have bought ARMS had Zelda and Mario been against it, but like putting it out on its own a couple months after launch was perfect, and everybody bought it and loved it. Whereas you and I know new franchises are hard to get in, and,
right.
and I don't think anybody would have bought it otherwise. So if you put out the Virtual Console when there's a little bit of a lull, like right now, maybe not like right now, but in the summer, like put out some lesser known games that maybe are popular-ish, but just cult classics, and then people will buy them because they want it. Like I'm the perfect example. Like when the very first Wii Virtual Console launched, it was a month after, or it was like 2 weeks after launch, around Christmas. If I'm remembering right, it was shortly after launch in 2006, maybe early 2007, and like there was like no Nintendo games on it. I bought, I think, Gunstar Heroes or whatever. There was a Sega Genesis game because it was like the best of what they put out, and it was the highest rated of what they put out, so I bought it. I don't know why they don't just do that. Like, people buying games that they otherwise wouldn't buy.
I also think that next month would be a good month too, because they have a couple first party titles, but one of them's like Pokken Tournament, which is an old Wii game, not going to appeal to some people. Yeah, and then Fire Emblem Warriors, which isn't going to be super popular in the United States.
Yeah, next month would be perfect.
Yeah, next month would probably be the best, because then after that they have Mario.
And freaking like put out Mario Sunshine next month, let people beat it, and then jump right into the next 3D Mario. Like, what a great way to launch the GameCube. And maybe they're just waiting because they couldn't perfect the GameCube Virtual Console. Like, maybe that's their only reason. I think it's a dumb reason if that is it, but maybe that's it.
I mean, previously they never like launched all consoles at once, really. It was like,
we'll start with adding.
Yeah, start with NES, Super Nintendo, this, whatever, and then, N64 always comes later for some stupid reason. Well, I guess it didn't on the Wii, did it? I guess that started on the Wii. So maybe they're trying not to do.
I don't think so. I feel like it was just 2D games at first, but I could be wrong. I don't remember.
Yeah, you might be wrong.
It was a long time ago.
I think at least it was announced though. Like maybe there wasn't any
it was
games.
Confirmed. You're right. It was confirmed.
Yeah, with Wii U they literally didn't confirm like any consoles until they came. It was like Super Nintendo, NES, and then slowly they started adding more. And they didn't announce that they were working on a new console until they like had a game out for it. Yeah. It was so dumb.
And I was thinking back to the Wii. You know what it was? Is that they said it will be able to play any old Nintendo game because it had the GameCube ports built in. So like it could play GameCube, and 64 could be emulated and everything else. So they were just like, oh yeah, it plays every Nintendo game.
Yeah, that was honestly, I think, one of its best selling points.
Huge appeal. Yeah,
like the system. I hated the motion controller, but that part actually excited me.
There was a lot of problems with the Wii, but that was like the strongest selling point to me. And I was obsessed with the motion controls, but like in retrospect, they weren't that great. But whatever. So, alrighty. Any more speculation? Or are we good to go?
I think we're good to go. We filled up about an hour of us rambling, so
perfect. That was our objective.
Let's call it a day, and hopefully some of us will be back next week. And I'm not going to promise what the topic's going to be this time. I don't think we really did promise last time. I'm not even going to speculate on what it's going to be because
it's either going to be a Gamescom wrap up because there's going to be something amazing, or it's going to maybe be some ukulele final thoughts if we can get everybody together. We'll see. It may not be either. Like it could be completely something else.
Yeah, maybe it'll just be me because everyone else has. And I'll just I'll just be there humming like Donkey Kong Country music or something. That'll be it.
Perfect.
Anyway. Thank you guys for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe to us on YouTube. Give us a like on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and this MP3 version of this podcast will be available on iTunes and Google Play, and there's also be direct links in that. So, yeah, please continue to listen to us talk about video games and Rare, because we enjoy doing it. Anything else you want to say, Jeff? Or are we good?
I'm going to say goodnight and I'm going to bed.
All right. Get some sleep, dude.
Will do.
All right. You guys have a good week.
Bye, everybody.